Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Everybody's here. Been a kind of a busy week for me, doing all kinds of different things and helping out a couple of folks here to get a new apartment. They were just looking around and I was making some suggestions of some good places they could go, and so, just helping out people. I've lived in this area here for quite a while, so I know it pretty well. So, Jesus, the White House, and I say that meaning everybody in the cabal here of Trump. Boy, they are like hiding shit you wouldn't believe. Okay, press conferences don't give us anything. Not a damn thing, and they are so guarded with what they say. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to say it's unusual. I mean, we've always had that point where in a war or something like that, they're not going to tell you everything. Okay, but with this White House, they will just flat out deny. Okay, instead of lying about. I mean, instead of just fudging the numbers, they just out lie. Okay, like, no, it's instead when we say, oh, it's raining out, they'll say, well, it's just drizzling. They'll just say, no, it's a sunny day. You know what I'm saying? It's a lie like that. Okay, they're like total denial of what facts are there, and I hate to say this, but the media hasn't really done a very good job covering this thing either. This war in Iran, okay? And I realize it hasn't been technically declared a war, but talk to the people in Iran and ask them if they think it's a war, okay? Because they're into this thing all the way. To them, it is a war, despite Trump trying to deny that it is, or say, oh, well, it's just a conflict. The reason why he ain't calling it a war is because Congress hasn't approved it. Okay, and until they do, he can't really say it's a war. But as far as Iran is concerned, it is. And apparently they've already hit a number of oil tanker ships out in the Strait of Hormuz, however they say that. Okay, which is going to raise, you probably already noticed, the gas prices have gone up. Well, that's one of the reasons why it's gone up. So, anyway, there's a few things that I want to read, but I got to change my glasses here. Okay, so what we already know is that they're going to be dipping into the oil reserves over this, which, that's good news for the oil companies. Okay, because even though they release some of the oil reserves, they're still jacking up the prices, at the pump. So they win either way. It says the International Energy Agency, a coalition of 32 nations, including the U.S., agreed to release a record 400 million barrels of oil from emergency reserves to ease disruptions caused by the Iran war. See, they're even calling it a war. The move comes amid escalating tensions in the Strait of Hormuz, which normally transports about 20% of the world's oil. Tehran claimed responsibility for at least one of 3 attacks on commercial vessels in and around the strait yesterday, while the U.S. military said it attacked 16 Iranian mine-laying ships near the channel Tuesday. Oil flow through the strait has fallen to less than 10% of pre-war levels. sending gasoline prices up roughly 20% for U.S. Consumers. The IEA's 400 million barrel release, over 22% of its stockpile, is about how much oil typically passes through the strait every 20 days. Since its founding in '74, the energy watchdog has tapped its reserves 5 other times. The previous record release was about 182.7 million barrels in 2022, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So, yeah. So that's one of the reasons that this you're going to be paying more. I noticed we went from $2.75 a gallon to $3.40 a gallon, practically overnight. That's how much it's gone up here. I mean, I know for some of you in other states, that's peanuts probably still. But here in this state, where the income levels are much lower, that's a big bite. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, here's a story from The Hill, written by Ellen Mitchell. It's entitled, U.S. Faulted in Iran School Strike in Initial Pentagon Review. The United States is responsible for a deadly Tomahawk missile strike on an all-girls Iranian elementary school, according to preliminary findings from an ongoing military investigation. The February 28 strike on the Shahra Tayyibeh Elementary School building, which killed at least 175 people, most of them children, was due to a targeting error by the U.S. military. The New York Times reported. American forces were conducting strikes on nearby Iranian base that had once extended onto the school grounds, which had since been walled off, cleared out for play areas, and painted in bright colors. The U.S. Central Command officers created target coordinates for the strike using outdated data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency. People briefed on the investigation told the outlet. It is still unknown why officials did not verify the outdated information prior to the attacks, which hit the school in Minab in southern Iran the day joint U.S.-Israel strikes began in the region. The Pentagon declined to comment on the report, of course, telling The Hill that the incident was under investigation. President Trump told reporters Wednesday that he was unaware of the report. Sure. It's either that or his dementia's getting worse. Trump previously blamed Iran for the deadly incident, telling reporters, oh, now suddenly he remembers, telling reporters Saturday that Tehran struck the school, even as Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth declined to say the same. Quote, they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran, unquote. Trump said on Air Force One, which is, of course, a lie. Remember what I told you. Don't believe what he fucking says, ever. The president doubled down on Monday, suggesting Iran was in possession of Tomahawk missiles. Well, that's different than saying they have nuclear weapons, because we don't go to war to another country if they have Tomahawk missiles. Christ. He claimed the missiles are, quote, sold to other countries. Well, whose fault is it that they got them? If we're selling the damn missiles to other countries and they got them, you know, they have every right to use them. Despite the U.S. military being the only known fighting force to use that missile in the current conflict. When a New York Times reporter pressed Trump as to why he was the only official in his administration blaming Iran, he replied, quote, because I just don't know enough about it. Well, that's probably true. That's probably the truth. White House press suck-up Caroline Leavitt on Tuesday insisted Trump, quote, is not making anything up, quote. Does she still have a brain? And that he is making statements as a, quote, feeling based on fact, unquote. Yeah, it's more like fact based on a feeling, you mean. She's got that backward. She added that Trump would accept the findings of the Pentagon's investigation. Sure he would. The devastating strike, one of the largest single errors by the U.S. military in decades, if confirmed, has caused outrage, with Democratic lawmakers calling for answers from the Trump administration on the attack. Chuck Schumer called Trump's claim about Iran using tomahawks beyond asinine and said the president was lying through his teeth. Well, that's pretty obvious, Chuck. That's pretty fucking obvious. Okay. Let me tell you something, people. You know, they were after Biden. They were for a lot of things with Afghanistan. How incompetent he was. Okay. How he handled that poorly. So far, right now, with how many weeks we've been into this thing? What, 2 weeks against Iran? Trump, whatever has leaked out doesn't seem very positive. And what he's covering up makes us more suspicious that what we are not hearing is probably worse than what we are hearing. Okay, so the thing is that he's trying to put a cherry on all this bad news here that, you know, that does come out. And he's trying to make it seem like, oh, the media is against me. Oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm not getting all the facts. You know, he's saying it's just brushing everything aside. That to me is a person who's disconnected from what's going on around the world. He doesn't give two shits about this fucking war, and I think everybody will agree with me on this. It's all a distraction to keep, you know, the Epstein crap off the front pages, okay, and keep this Iran thing going on the front pages, okay. What is sad in this is that people are going to die for this distraction. You know, your kids, your sons, your daughters, who, if they're out there right now, chances are he's going to set them up to be shot, just so he doesn't have to face the music when it comes to, you know, him raping little kids and stuff like that, which he's probably still doing, by the way. A guy doesn't quit doing that shit overnight, okay? I mean, think about how many years him and Epstein were doing this. It's like an alcoholic. He ain't going to stop. So he's probably still at it. But he's being very secretive about that, like a lot of things. And I feel like, you know, why should any of us sacrifice our livelihoods, our life, so this guy can walk on the most hated crime that I think in this country that there is? I mean, that if there's anything that's going to unify both sides of the political aisle, it's going to be our anger towards people who are pedophiles. Okay, but I'm, you know, I see that there's so much resistance to just standing up with the Democrats on this from the right. They just really don't want to get off, you know, to stand up here on this. Instead, they'd rather watch his ridiculous State of the Union speech and clap and applaud and just try and forget that, oh my God, this guy had been raping little girls. You know, let's try not to think about that so I can clap. Okay, you know what I'm saying? These people have to have the biggest fucking ability to deny reality that there is. Okay, which explains why the religious element has infiltrated much of that, the right wing, okay? Because Democrats, for the most part, don't fall so easily to the pie in the sky thing, but the other side does. And the right and the religion has infiltrated the political party on the right so fucking much now that it's become a cult inside a cult. Okay? So what can I say? It's that, you know, we really have a lot of fucking damage here in our political system that needs to be fixed, and it ain't going to get fixed so long as Trump is still in the White House, and the same idiots that are working with him now are still there. So you know, that's a pretty big fucking barrel to roll uphill. I mean, it's just, you know, how to fix that, I don't know. But unless we have full momentum behind the task to fix it, it's just not going to happen, you know. And a lot of things are going to have to change before it does. Okay. Now, this is going to be nice and charming news here for those people in MAGA who thought Trump was going to bring us some prosperity. From Huffington Post, Marita Vlachow wrote an article here. It says, Chris Wright does not rule out oil hitting $200 a barrel amid the Iran war. Energy Secretary Chris Wright on today, dismissed concerns about a long-term severe global oil crisis as Iran retaliates for the U.S. and Israel attacks, while claiming that it is, quote, unlikely, unquote, that oil could hit 200 a barrel amid the fighting. Quote, we're going through short-term energy disruption for just huge long-term gain, unquote, Wright told CNN News Central. A spokesperson for Iran's military command signaled that Tehran is determined to continue to wreak havoc on the global economy, telling the U.S., quote, get ready for oil to be 200 a barrel because the oil price depends on regional security, which you have destabilized, unquote, according to Reuters. CNN's Kate Bloudwan asked Wright if oil prices could actually hit 200 a barrel as threatened by Tehran. Quote, I would say unlikely, but we are focused on the military operation and solving a problem. I'm not going to guess on short-term trading. That's based on psychology more than the flows of... Talk about a fucking asinine answer. Quote, the world is very well supplied with oil right now thanks to Trump. Well, then why did it go up so fucking much here in the last couple of days? If the oil is so well supplied, if the world is so well supplied with fucking oil, and this thing's been going on here in Iran, already the price of gas has gone up. So if we are as flooded with oil as this guy says, then it shouldn't have impacted that at all, right? Or at least far less than it did. So what do we got here? We got a bunch of companies profiteering off of this thing. And the White House is about to open up the reserves, giving the world, which is flooded with oil, more oil, so they can continue to charge us up increased rates, so they can profit from that. I mean, come on, people. This is the way the world works. There's no reason to raise the price of oil except, oh, we have an excuse to make some fucking money. Now, do you think that might be another reason why Trump sent us over there to Iran? Of course it is. And it makes a nice distraction from the Epstein shit. But this is going to help the big oil companies get even fucking wealthier than they already are. Okay? I mean, that was kind of why we went into Venezuela. That came out. You know, we weren't down there trying to stop drugs. I mean, we'll never win that fucking war. But Venezuela has a huge oil deposit down there. And they want to get that. But once they got it, once they toppled the guy that was there running the thing, Maduro, I guess is his name. Once they got him out, the oil company said, geez, you know, it's going to cost us a fortune to rebuild what they had down there to extract the oil. Because, you know, they let it go to shit for a long time. And so, you know, we wouldn't really make any profit off of that for a long time. So when they turn their nose up at it, you know, then all of a sudden now the Iran war starts. Okay? Sounds to me like Trump made a promise. Okay, and this is just a theory. I'm not saying there's fact here, but I'm just going to say it sounds to me like Trump made a promise to oil companies that they were going to get filthy rich. Okay, remember drill, baby, drill, while he was running for... okay, he made a promise, I think, to oil companies that they were going to get some money out of his second term. He couldn't deliver it with Venezuela because the oil companies thought it was too expensive to try to go down there and extract it. So he figured another way. Let's start shit with Iran. Then we can raise the price of oil as I let them siphon out from the reserves what we have. And they can bank on that. They can, you know, make money off of that and just keep the rates high. Now, keep in mind, what I just told you has no consideration to the people that are going to have to fork over extra for gas. Okay? This is all about a wealthy man helping out wealthy people. We are in the middle. We're the medium that makes the wealthy wealthier. And he doesn't give a shit how much crap he's going to run through our ass here. Okay? So that way the rich are getting more of our damn money. So, like I said, this is really insulting, and the fact that, I mean, we people are comparing this to the Iraq War because it was needless then, and yes, it was. But now, It's very needless now because this war didn't have to happen. I told you in the previous video that Iran had come to the table agreeing to the stipulations that Trump laid out to prevent war, that they would allow more inspectors to go and they would get rid of or degrade the uranium that they had. Okay, they would promise they weren't going to make any facilities to make nukes. Okay, it was going to be an open book. And Trump didn't care because he knew from the get-go that he wanted to start something with them. Okay, and Israel was pushing him to do something. Okay, so really the incentive here to go to war had nothing to do with the fact that he thought that, oh, well, they're gonna have nukes in a very short time. That's the same bullshit that Dick Cheney talking about mushroom clouds over our heads, or Rumsfeld rather, one of them had said that, I think it was Rumsfeld, was sitting here trying to scare people saying, well, if we don't do anything now, we're gonna have mushroom clouds over our head. Okay, and of course, Iraq had none of that. They didn't have anything. Okay, no WMDs at all. Same thing with Iran. They tried to spin this. I mean, I hope people learned the first time not to believe that kind of a tactic, because Trump's using it again. This is Iraq 2.0. Trump's taking Bush's fucking idea and using it again. Now, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Remember that saying? Okay, that's what it is. And so this time he's fooling us again. Well, he's fooling some of us, not all of us. A lot of us realize what Trump's done here. Okay, this war has no purpose. It has no goal. I think it's going to last as long as Trump wants it to last, even if it's an endless stalemate. It's already costing this country a ton of fucking money every day to maintain this fucking war. And everybody's saying, how come we spending billions of fucking dollars on this the last couple of weeks, and yet they argue we don't have money to help the poor with health care and all that other stuff. People that need that money, he's pissing it away on this fucking pointless enterprise overseas. For what? To distract from Epstein, to make the wealthier wealthier? You know, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, you know, now that he's got access to the government, he's opened the doors to the treasury and he's telling the fucking millionaires, come and get it. You know, and that's why the value of our money is just plummeting all the fucking time. This country cannot sustain that. I don't care how strong some people think America is. It ain't that strong. It ain't. We are tied into so many different economies around the world that if we can't hold our own, nobody else will. Okay? So, anyway, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be back.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Roxy Sugar, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This
is me.
me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
We are not winning this war in Iran. We went in guns blazing without a plan, and Iranian leadership was ready for us. And they are currently destroying American military bases across the Middle East at such an incredible scale that I don't think we understand the magnitude of the loss. The American military bases in Bahrain and Kuwait and Qatar and Saudi Arabia are among the largest military facilities in the world. These bases have cost us trillions of dollars over multiple decades to build. It has been a huge amount of our military spending over 30 years, and it's just going up in smoke. We've lost radars that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, including one Iran took out that was $1 billion at the most fortified U.S. base in the Middle East with a single missile. a radar that was the backbone of all of our missile defense systems in the Gulf. It's really bad. I'm not sure our military has ever suffered this kind of destruction, but we've also never had such unprepared, unserious, piss-poor leadership before either. The new statistic is this war is costing us $1 billion a day. That's about $42 million an hour, $11,000 a second. And while this administration is telling us we are kicking ass and they're putting out their high-end America fuck yeah propaganda, in the background, they are summoning defense firms to the White House for emergency meetings and asking for more money for the Department of War. After getting an extra $120 billion a year from the big beautiful bill, these people are already asking for another $50 billion. Our military budget is already $1 trillion a year. Where is this money going? Right down the toilet, that's where. Did you vote for this? Do you want this? Or do you maybe want, a living wage and healthcare and to be able to afford a home in a safe and secure nation? We're not winning. The US and Israel have powerful bombs that can blow up buildings. But as we know now, most of Iran's military infrastructure and weapons are deep underground where we can't get at them. And it appears that Russia and China are sitting on the sidelines just feeding top-tier satellite intelligence directly to the Iranian government and just tracking our every move. We've started something we have no chance of finishing. We don't have an unlimited supply or an infinite arsenal. We don't even seem to have a goal. The question is, how long do we do this? We're a week in. How much of our resources are we going to spend? And do we plan to add our children's lives to the mix? When asked if we could expect violence on our own shores from this, Trump was like, well, maybe. It's war. That happens. Come on. This war was unnecessary and ill-planned and will not make our country or the world more safe and prosperous. We are not winning. All we are doing is bankrupting ourselves while we create even more enemies and ruin our position in the world. You want to talk about waste, fraud, and abuse? Well, here it is.
President Trump declared yesterday, we're crushing the enemy in an overwhelming display of technical skill and military force. We will not relent until the enemy is totally and decisively defeated. But we do so on our timeline and at our choosing. For example, today will be yet again our most intense day of strikes inside Iran. The most fighters, the most bombers, the most strikes, intelligence, more refined and better.
You know, when Trump and his administration announced that we would be attacking Iran, I thought of all the negative things that were going to come from that, right? The death, the destruction, the billions of dollars this will cost the American people every single day. But one of the negative things I forgot to think about was having to listen to Pete Hegseth on a daily basis. I have never been more convinced of how terrified the American people should be having him at the head of the ship. It's scary. And I have never been more convinced that this man uses ChatGPT for what he wants to say. I am dying to know what those prompts must look like. I want to lie to the American people. Make it sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger meets frat bro. At the end of the day, Pete Hegseth doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's cosplaying. He's acting. He's acting out what he thinks a Secretary of War should sound like. I mean, just the other day, I watched this guy have a poetry slam in the Oval Office.
The War Department is going to fight decisively, not endless conflicts. Maximum lethality, not tepid legality. Violent effect, not politically correct.
And he was dead serious. That wasn't satire. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's a senior Iranian official basically doing an American press tour, sounding very clear, very matter of fact, very professional. And we got Dr. Seuss reading Green Eggs and Ham. Every single day, this administration is coming out giving conflicting answers, giving conflicting reasons as to why we're even there. Giving, we'll see how it goes when asked if American boots are going to be on the ground. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Is there going to be a draft? The president is keeping all of his options open. What? How is it that the only straight answers I got was from that senior Iranian official? When asked, are you prepared for American troops on the ground in Iran? He said, pull up. Very matter of fact. We're ready. While our guy is sitting there Googling what rhymes with lethality. But MAGA does love a good rhyme, right? And the latest slogan that has trickled down to these fucking idiots has been short-term pain for long-term gain. Yep, everything's fine.
Who gave the order to flag records related to President Trump?
To flag records for President Trump?
To flag any records which included his name.
I'm not going to discuss anything about that with you, Senator.
Eventually, you're going to have to answer for your conduct in this. You won't do it today, but eventually you will.
Two fun things coming out of that. First of all, she didn't say nobody ordered her to flag the documents. I feel like her performative, I'm not gonna talk to you, is because she was asked to do that. And it was Donald Trump that asked her to do that. So that's fun. But more fun, especially in the short term, is that day when she's gonna have to answer for it, many of us were assuming that, I guess 2029, I suppose, after the Democrats take over, if possible. No, it's going to happen a lot sooner, actually, because even some Republicans now joined with Democrats to vote to haul Pam Bondi's sorry ass back in and to answer questions about the information the DOJ has been withholding. Now, the weird aspect of this is that it's partly, I guess, to the credit of Nancy Mace that they're doing this subpoena of Bondi, but I'll let her tell it.
I move that the committee issue a subpoena to the Honorable Pamela Jo Bondi to appear before the committee for a deposition regarding the department's handling of the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein and his associates and compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
So this is a good day for noted and enthusiastic transphobe Nancy Mace. Bad day for James Comer, both because this guy who would imply, and he's postured as if he cares about oversight. He wants to get to the bottom of all this. That's why he's never stopped talking about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And yet for some reason, he had an objection to bringing Pam Bondi in to actually answer questions. But it didn't matter in this particular case because 5 Republicans on the Oversight Committee joined with Democrats and they did force through the subpoena. And so she is going to be brought in to answer, or at least to do her Mean Girls impression again. I don't know, but at least it's something. And she does have a lot to answer for. Not only the flagging thing, but also the DOJ has admitted that nearly 50,000 Epstein files, including the allegations made against Donald Trump and the FBI interviews with those making the accusations, were removed. They just decided we're not going to give those to Congress, which they are not legally allowed to do. They're now multiple months in violation of the law requiring them to disclose all the Epstein files. And what's interesting is that despite making no mention of those files previously, when it was identified that they hadn't given them over, now all of a sudden they have like an ironclad excuse as to why they didn't give the documents. They say that the nearly 50,000 files were offline for further review and should be ready for reproduction by the end of the week, which again is not up to them to decide.
DoorDash girl, the sneaky spy who brings the fries.
She delivers, she discovers, snap and share it all.
Press the crash out button and I'm the victim. DoorDash girl, the villain next door.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
people. I got this other thing here I want to bring up here. It says, Gavin Newsom assures the nation. Now, this is rich, right? The governor of the state of California has to assure the nation because our president can't. Gavin Newsom assures the nation that there's no threat of Iranian drone attacks after Trump's FBI pushes bogus, unverified conspiracy. Quote, Iranian attacks coming for your house, unquote, booms out the corporate media at the behest of Kash Patel and Trump's FBI. And of course, what media do you think they're going to for that? Only problem is this entire quote-unquote threat is based on an unverified FBI tip from an anonymous source, Jesus, from a month before Donald's little excursion war began. Governor Newsom and California officials have assured everyone that there is no credible threat, but you sure wouldn't know that from reading the mainstream media headlines. Dick Cheney is rolling in his grave at the incompetence and laziness on display here by the Trump regime as they desperately try to terrify the public into supporting a wildly unpopular war. Well, of course he is, because he knows that people aren't all behind this. Most of the country does not want this fucking war to happen. Most of the country knows why this war is happening, and it's not why this is happening. It's they know why Trump wants it to happen. Okay? And I just told you in the last segment. All right. That's not enough to convince people that you should send your sons and your daughters into harm's way. Okay? That's not going to sell. People aren't going to buy that. Trump should have, well, if Trump had a fucking moral bone in his body, he'd fucking know. Okay? But since he doesn't, he'll throw shit on the wall to see what sticks. And so this is his attempt to... it's like the thing about, oh, they're eating your cats and dogs. Well, this is the same thing. Iranian attacks are coming in drones to your house, okay? Really? I find it funny. I mean, that Fox News would pick that up and sell that as if that's, oh my God, people, you know. I mean, if Trump ever did the War of the Worlds broadcasts the way they did way back in the old days, right? Okay, if Trump ever got on TV and did the War of the Worlds and tried to sell people on that was really happening, Fox News would be right there trying to tell people, get in your basements, hide from, you know what I'm saying? That's what they would do. That's why we call it state-run media, okay? Fox News is in cahoots with the Trump administration, well, for the Republicans, the right wing, pretty much, okay? That's why we call it state-run media, all right? Because everything that they say on the right gets echoed on the Fox News. So, yeah, if he was to do that today, they would be the outfit that would back up everything Trump said. They'd try to find some way, maybe they'd use AI to show little spaceships and everything to convince you that this is happening. Okay? That's why I say people that watch Fox News are out there somewhere in the universe, living in a different universe, and living in a different reality, because they have been spun so fucking much that they don't know which way is up, they don't know which way is down, they don't know which way they're supposed to be standing at any given moment. They only move when Trump tells them to move. They only do what Trump says to do. They are just nice little minions. You ever see those people that make these little Civil War sets, you know, with the little fake soldiers and stuff, and, you know, and like making the thing of Gettysburg and all that? Okay, that's what these people in MAGA and the Republicans are like. They're these little fake little soldiers that don't move or do anything until somebody picks them up and puts them somewhere. Okay? All right, they have no brain. They don't know why they're there. They just know that I have to do what my master tells me to do. Okay? I have to believe everything Trump tells me. You want to talk about Trump derangement syndrome? There it is, folks. It ain't that people don't like Trump is a problem. It's that people that do like Trump, that's the problem. Because they ought to know better, but they don't care. They ain't got no fucking brain in their head to be able to understand that they're being misled. All right, and some local news here, because remember, Senator Collins' seat here is up for grabs in the Senate. And so we have someone named Graham Plattner who is running against her, Democrat. Okay, let me see here. We can go to this link here. Let's go back here. Okay. A progressive champion, Graham Plattner, is surging in the new polls. Graham Plattner for Senate. The battle for Maine Senate seat held by the perpetually concerned Trump toady Susan Collins could mean the difference between Trump retaining control of the Senate or Democrats being able to put an end to his tyranny. But momentum is on our side. A pair of new polls shows that former Marine Oysterman and progressive champion Graham Plattner ahead by Susan Collins by 2 and 7 points respectively, while Collins digs herself deeper and deeper into the hole with her votes for Trump's big bad bill. Plattner is surging on a message of economic populism, no more wars, and rightfully naming the Epstein class as the culprit for the woes of the American worker. Yeah, so Collins is not talking, and even in her fucking commercials, her campaign commercials, she's not talking about, or their campaign is not talking about the things that's on our minds right fucking now. Trump has done more harm to her than she realizes because he's created issues that have distracted us all from local issues. We're not thinking about clean water. We're not thinking about more beds in the hospitals. We're not thinking about that right now. What we're thinking about is we're getting our asses ripped off here. And our sons and daughters in the military are being put in the front line to be shot just so he can stay out of fucking prison, Trump. Just so they can shut up about the Epstein case. Now, what do you think is more important right now to people? Apparently, it's not what Susan Collins is trying to say, oh, come and thank me for these things that I did like decades ago. Okay? That's not the thing. She's not on message. Her campaign is old. She's talking about issues that happened way back that have been settled and been in place for a long time. Okay? And not so much by her, but by the governors that we've had in the state. Okay, she's trying to take credit for a lot of things that, she didn't really do. But this guy here, he's sick and tired of the state always putting her back into the seat, because when she gets there, we never hear from her. We don't know what she's doing. We know she's got her hands deep in the pockets of Republican money. Okay, she's constantly feeding that monster, finding ways to siphon money to the various campaigns. She's in the middle of that. She's the go-between, and the Republicans are really nervous about losing her to a Democrat taking that seat, because that's going to upset the fucking balance here. But my point is, and there's a lot of points for, actually, this is not just, one point, but my point is that if you're not going to listen to the fucking people that you're supposed to represent, then you don't deserve to get the seat back. And she hasn't really deserved to be put back in the Senate for a long time. Okay? And people, in this state are looking to hear somebody talk about things that we're seeing on the TV that we're concerned about. We're pissed off at Trump, so we want somebody in there that's not going to just kiss his ass. And Susan Collins, well, I hate to say it, but she's been, her lips have been glued to his ass. Okay? She only comes out against it when it's safe for her to do so, where her vote won't matter. And then she sides with the Democrats against him when it matters to her to keep her seat. You see what I'm saying? She's an opportunist. Don't let that age on her fool you. Okay, she's been down there for a long time in Washington, D.C. She knows how to play the fucking game. She ain't as this innocent, your aunt next door, okay? This woman, she fucking knows how to manipulate, all right? And I think that a lot of people in the state mistake her for being the latter, being this nice person, because that's how she sells herself in public. But people, you'd shit yourself if you find out how these people really were behind closed doors. Because I'm telling you, she's not that. And like I said, a dirty diaper has got to be changed. She's what? She's well, she's getting old enough to retire. She ought to retire, honestly. 20 years, 20 plus years as a senator, that's fucking long enough. Jesus Christ, I would think 10 years would be enough. Okay, but 20 years? No, I'm sorry, but everybody has to have a point where they say, okay, I got to give this seat to somebody else. If they, you know, if they can't resign, okay, just tell the voters, if you vote for me, I'm just going to resign because I'm not going to take that seat again. I've been here too long, you know. But you're never going to find anybody that's going to be honest enough to be able to do that because the money's so fucking tempting. You know, they're going to stay right there. So we have to be the one to force them out. I bet whatever state you're living in, you probably got a bunch of people in politics in your state representing you that have been there for fucking forever. Okay, it'd be nice to see them replaced, right? To get some fresh minds in the fucking mix, because these people in their 70s and 80s and stuff, they're still wrestling with issues that happened way back before you were born, and they haven't fixed since. So they need to be pushed aside and say, look, you guys tried it your way and you failed. It's time to try a different way. The world's changed. It ain't the 1970s. It's not the 1980s anymore. Okay, those days are gone. The issues that we're dealing with today are modern. All right, we got issues that have to be taken care of. People have been waiting. They shouldn't have to wait any longer. So if you're not going to do your job, then get the hell out of it. Okay, it's like an auto mechanic. If he's not going to fix your car, take the car somewhere else. So, you know, I don't know how more plain I can make it. Okay, here's another article from Mediaite, written by Alex Griffin. A bipartisan group of senators call for a probe into DOJ's Epstein files redactions. A group of U.S. senators call for the Government Accountability Office to investigate the Trump Justice Department over its release of the Jeffrey Epstein files and the redactions within the documents, which have sparked outrage and accusations of a cover-up. Senator Dick Durbin, Democrat from Illinois, Ben Ray Lujan, Democrat from New Mexico, Jeff Merkley, Democrat from Oregon, and Lisa Murkowski, Republican from Arkansas, signed the letter alleging that the DOJ did not fully comply with the law compelling the files' release last December. President Trump signed that law under pressure from both chambers of Congress after it passed with near unanimous support. Quote, contrary to Congress's explicit directive to protect victims, these records included email addresses and nude photos in which the names and faces of publicly identified and non-public victims could be identified, unquote, read the letter, adding, quote, this horrific scandal is one where powerful, wealthy men groomed, abused, and raped young women, men, and children, unquote, the senators continued, adding, quote, it is critical to understand what led the DOJ's failure to redact the victims' information and re-victimize those individuals while violating the Epstein Files Transparency Act in its redactions of information related to their alleged abusers, unquote. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat from Rhode Island, later in the day sent another letter formally asking Attorney General Pam Bondi to, quote unquote, preserve records related to the release of the Epstein files. Quote, it appears that 37 pages of records still have not been released, including FBI notes associated with agents' interviews of the accuser, unquote. White House wrote, referring to reporting that pages related to Trump are still missing from the files. Yeah, you see, and that's why the war will go on. As long as they keep coming down on Trump for this stuff that he did, and possibly still doing, the war will go on. Okay? The weird thing is he thinks he's punishing us by doing this. by trying to distract us, by making us pissed. And it's because he's making us pissed is why the momentum to keep getting deeper into this Epstein crap keeps building, okay? I can't see 3 more years of this without something breaking, okay? Unless Trump's idiots are doing a grand job of hiding the facts, okay? But people know they're hiding stuff, okay? I mean, when you redact something, they know you're hiding a thing. I mean, it's a big, you know, duh, you know, whatever it is that you're covering, you don't want us to see, okay? So they can't deny that they're not hiding things. They are hiding things. So they say, oh, well, we're hiding stuff to protect the names of... Are you going to say innocent people? Or are you going to say protecting the names of the victims or protecting the names of those perpetrators who are involved in the crime? We're not doing this to protect the names of the innocent, not when it concerns a matter of sex trafficking. Who's innocent in a thing like that? And when you say we're trying to protect national security here, how is the government involved in sex trafficking? You see what I'm saying? When you say something like that, it makes you wonder, why would the national security be at risk over a crime of this magnitude? I mean, wouldn't you want to know more about why they say that? Or is that just an excuse to keep people saying, oh, well, if it's a national security, we should just avoid that? Because there are people out there that would think that. We'll just take that at Trump's word, that yes, oh, we are protecting our country's security if we just don't investigate this. I guess maybe I should use that the next time I get a speeding ticket. Tell the cop, you know, as a matter of national security, I can't accept this fucking... You know, I mean, I wonder what they would say to that, okay? Because this is kind of what they're doing, folks. They're trying to throw that up there as a big fucking no. This is the government. You don't mess with the government. Well, it wasn't the government before until Trump got in there, and now it's the government. What was Trump's excuse going to be before he was president? Oh, it's a matter of personal security? I mean, you know, come on. Now that he's sitting in the fucking White House, he's going to use that fucking job as a shield to protect his fat ass, you know, and his idiot cabals from answering to some pretty nasty and dirty crimes, okay? I mean, the worst. You know, assaulting a kid has got to be the worst thing there is, especially a person 40 years older than, you know, the kid. I mean, come on. You know, we know how to deal with people like that. At least I thought so. I mean, whenever there was a crime, sex offender. I mean, I see this all the time. I mean, you know, like the teachers that are always caught, you know, having sex with their students. Oh, crucify him, crucify him. It's like, you know, the old days in ancient Rome. Okay, we come out there with our pitchforks and torches to burn the bastard. Put his name on the fucking list so we know who he is and he can't live. Okay. Where is that fucking anger, that momentum now that we have one of them sitting in the fucking White House? Not only is he living next door to you, but to everybody else in America. Now he's there. Okay? You putting his name on the registry isn't going to stop him from being where he is. And he's in control of your life. Okay? Think about that for a minute. That's who this guy is, as a sex offender who's in control of your fucking life. So people, and I don't want to try to make it sound like, you know, imminent doom, but we certainly are walking that path to eventual doom when we follow people like Trump, or we put people like Trump in positions of power. Because what do you expect's going to happen? He ain't going to do anything good for you. What good does a criminal do for anybody? He spent his whole life ripping people off. Okay? He threw people under the bus just to get ahead, to protect himself. He has no loyalty to anybody. Pam Bondi is going to be the next one thrown under the bus. Kristi Noem already was. She's going to be next because she's a laughingstock now. She's lost all respect from the people in Washington. Okay? They make fun of her all the time on TV now. She's a laughingstock. So whatever she says, whatever comes out of her mouth now, is just going to be a fucking joke. And it's either a lie or a joke. I mean, people just not going to take her serious anymore. So her job is basically in flames. Okay, she's failed as Attorney General, and the only thing she can do is resign that job or get fired and have it, you know, somebody else sit there. I don't know who, but somebody. But she's destroyed herself with that fucking job, and it's largely because Trump had her do it. He told her to take that job, and he's been giving her instructions, which has, you know, cut her throat. You know, I hate to say this. I mean, because I hate, stigmatizing people. But when you talk about a dumb blonde, she really is the definition of that, isn't she? Okay, and I'm not trying to say all blondes are stupid. I know it's not. But she is, you know, if you were looking up the phrase, you know, what is a dumb blonde, her fucking picture would be right next to what Kathleen Leavitt as well. Okay, those two women right there define what a dumb blonde is. Okay, so, you know, you could take that for whatever it's worth. But like I said, whenever I see her talking, I'm not even interested in what she's got to say. Either one of them. I'm not interested, because I know it's going to be a lie, because as soon as they're done talking, it's going to be picked apart by fact checkers all over the fucking country, and everything they just said is going to be turned on its head. Okay, so they might as well stand in front of the cameras and blow bubbles all fucking for an hour, because that's just about as much use as these people can give us, you know. And going after Pam Bondi here, you're wasting taxpayer dollars. Just fire her ass, okay? And get rid of her, because she's not going to change her ways. She's not going to stop doing what she's been doing. She's going to continue. And unless you get her out of the job, you're going to keep getting more reasons to call her in front of another hearing to try to make her answer questions about this, about that, you know, and she's just not going to do it. You're wasting time. Just get rid of her. Okay? Force Trump to get somebody else. Okay? Pete Hegseth, he's already fucking up this war in Iran already. Okay, I just, you know, but it shouldn't surprise any of us, because we all knew these people that Trump was picking were like, what? You know, we couldn't believe it. We couldn't fucking believe it. You know, so yeah, everybody's fucking up around him, and it was meant to happen. I think it was. I think Trump didn't want anybody with any expertise or any experience to be doing these jobs. I think he just wanted total idiots to do these jobs, so that way it always lands on him to be able to fix it, to do it his way, you know, because when they can't do it, they come running to him, and he tells them what to do, and they do it. So if anything goes wrong, they take the fall. He doesn't. So Pam Bondi, she's fucked up the job the way Trump wanted her to. So now that she's done as much damage to the Attorney General's office as she could, now he's probably going to have to let her go, okay? Because no one's going to take her serious. No one's going to care what she says, okay? Because they know they're not going to get the truth out of her. She's going to lie. So, yeah, it's just sad that this is where we are as a country now. I mean, we're sitting here trying to celebrate a 250th birthday, and I'm like, you know what? We're celebrating a corpse, because this country is not on the right track. It's not even a mirror of itself anymore, okay? It ain't. Whatever this country was years ago, it's not now. So to say that it's 250 years old would be a lie. Okay? We'd have to go back to figure out when this country stopped being America and started becoming something else. Okay? And I'd have to say it probably was around the 20th century. You know, I think World War II probably did it. You know, I think our country took a hell of a hit. In a lot of ways, it did a lot of damage, at least as part, you know, as far as I can think. I mean, as history as being something I like to read, I really think that war did a lot to corrupt our government in ways that we didn't think of, okay? And I think that's kind of when our country died. We may have won the war, but we lost our country doing it, I think. And I think from that day on, There's been all kinds of fucking dirt, all kinds of scandal, all kinds of oddities after that war ended that just festered and kept building up into now where we are. Okay? It was a slow death, but it happened. It started then, and it just, you know, came into that. That's why I say at the end of this century, folks, the United States as you know it now, if you want to call it the United States, ain't going to look anything like this. At the end of this century, that flag won't represent anything that we have. Okay? We're not going to be the same country. I don't even think we're going to have the same rights anymore. We're not going to have the same freedoms. Okay? A lot of us are just going to say, I'm getting out of here. I think you're going to start to see an exodus of people leaving this country in the next 70, 80 years. People moving to other countries because they're not going to have the opportunities here that they could have got if things had been left alone. You know, I'm seeing this attitude already in the new generation of people starting off in life. I see it in their eyes. Okay? They're really disappointed with this, the way things are. This country is not there for them. Okay? And they know, very damn well they know why it's gotten this bad. And, you know, they could be the generation that convinces the next generation to leave this country. If you want to get somewhere ahead in life, you're going to have to go to blankety blank or wherever to get that. You can't get it here. It's just this country doesn't really have anything for anybody now. We're just, you know, whatever. So I think that's kind of where we're headed now. So as far as the birthday of the country goes, we can safely say that Rome outlasted this country. Even though it fell similarly in a similar fashion. It was around a hell of a lot longer than this country. And they still say we're a young nation. Well, I guess you could say we were born and we died in the same breath. We started something and we couldn't finish it. We just got greedy, we got corrupted, we got silly, we got, you know, hypocritical. We allowed ourselves to be bullied and bullshitted, and I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, we're like a bunch of idiots over here in this country. I mean, it's not a wonder that the rest of the world is finally seeing us for what we are. I've been saying it a long time. America is not this great big emerald city on the hill like a lot of people in other countries think we are. We are not that. Don't believe the hype. Don't believe the propaganda that comes out of this country to feed your head on, oh, maybe I can be an American. Forget it. Make the most of where you are. You got a better chance there than here. Okay, if you got an education, stay where you are. You can benefit that country a lot quicker than you could use that intelligence over here. They would knock you down, keep you down, okay, over here. They don't want people, especially the young people, trying to do better than the assholes that were there before them. Okay, we got ego mania in this country. Women are kept on the bottom as much as they can possibly do it. Okay, we're still wrestling with moral and ethical issues. We don't know whether we should, you know, convict pedophiles or praise them for being president. I mean, we just don't know who we are anymore. Okay, everything is up for grabs. Even the 10 Commandments, for Christ's sake, is up for grab. We don't even know what they are anymore, okay? We just don't want to acknowledge that they even exist. We are a country in decline in so many ways. It's sad. Because we could have been a great country, okay? We could have been. And I think if we had gone the other way in the last election, yeah, there'd still be struggles, but it wouldn't be like this. It would not be like this at all. I seriously doubt Kamala Harris would have that kind of cruelty in her body to do what Trump is doing to us now. All right, so that's it for today. And I probably won't make another video for a couple of days, so have a good weekend. And I will keep apprised of what's going on. So subscribe, comment, share, keep your ears open for health issues. And please help each other out there because people need it. It's getting desperate. So please, you know, be an asset, not a hindrance. And I will talk to you later, so take care, everybody.